Today on the channel we're going to change strings and do a setup on my Van Halen Ernie Music Man guitars, and we're going to take a look at a issue I've had with both of these for the past couple of years and hopefully get it fixed. Yes. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. As stated earlier in the intro to this video, I'm going to change strings on my Ernie Music Man Van Halen guitars. I'm going to start with my red one because this one is the one that needs it the most. Unusually, over the last couple of years, I've developed this strange issue with both guitars where the G goes sharp when I use the tremolo bar. And I've talked to several of my tech buddies, some Van Halen gurus, people all over the place have given me tips and ideas what might be causing this and how to rectify it. And I just can't zero it in, so I'm going to take the actual time today to figure it out. And what it is the G goes sharp when I use the whammy bar, and I've got it locked down. The nut is tight, the locking nut is stable. They're the right. I've got the right ones that the correct ones that I'm using in each slot. I've checked my springs. I've checked my saddles to make sure they're not loose. I have sprayed everything out, but I mean, check it out. So this is acoustically through my lapel mic. Now watch it not do it. Hopefully it won't, but it's in tune. Now I'm going to do some whammy action. Going to do some bar here. Hear that? The G string goes up like a quarter, sometimes a half a step. It's terrible, and the natural one is not quite as bad, but both of them started doing this like 2 or 3 years ago, and I just don't use the tremolo bar when I'm playing with them that much, which is annoying. I don't gig with these guitars and take them out because I kind of baby them, but it's really bothered me, and I've decided today it would make an interesting video, I guess, just to do a string change and show these in more detail. And hopefully changing strings, cleaning everything up, just double checking everything. I can zero in on what the issue is. If anybody knows or has any ideas at the end of this video, if it doesn't get fixed, please drop them in the comments. I'm open to any suggestion, but it's just so strange to have a locking down, set, fixed, non-floating tremolo and have the G go sharp. I just don't know why, and it's just that one string. So, and I have checked the saddle. The saddle is not loose. Everything is totally fine on the tremolo system. That's the first thing I checked to make sure it wasn't moving. But anyway, let's begin. We're going to get the red one on the bench. Then we're going to go to the natural one. We're going to change strings out, and I'm going to just clean everything and double check the tremolo bars and the springs and the nut, the tightness of the locking nut, anything I can think of. All right, let's do it. Okay, we're going to start with this red one. I'm going to unlock the locking nut up here, get this thing ready to loosen up the strings. I read on a forums channel a few years ago that you're not supposed to take the strings off of this guitar, otherwise you could damage it. They said, if you take the strings all the way off of it, you could damage the guitar. And so I've done that before in the past, like a long time ago, and nothing happened, but it kind of makes me nervous. But at this point, I don't know what else to do. I'm going to disassemble this thing and take a look at it. I mean, this guitar had to have been disassembled at some point because it was put together. I can't imagine why you can't. I can't imagine why you can't take the whole thing apart. So, to diagnose this issue I'm having with the G string going sharp, it just doesn't make sense why it's doing it. So I'm gonna just take it apart. Let me get a block for underneath the tremolo bar while I do this. All right, I got a little rag here to put underneath the bar, so when I loosen these strings up, it will not come off the guitar. Long time ago, I've had this guitar since 1992. Long time ago, I did I just didn't know what I was doing, man. I still don't know what I'm doing sometimes. But there's like indentations on the back of the guitar where that happened a long, long time ago. I learned my lesson, and it happened on this guitar. I bought this thing for $1,200. I've got a few videos on my channel spotlighting both of these guitars, so feel free to search on my channel for those videos. If I can find them, I'll link one at the end of the video, or both of them, or something like that. I've done a few lessons, a few Van Halen lessons with these guitars. They sound so good. Okay, I've got these loosened up real nice. This bar is not going anywhere with this cloth. I should have a trem block, but I don't. I could put one in the back, I suppose. But right now I'm just going to do it like this. Let me get the strings snipped on this baby. I heard the springs pop off the back on the bottom side. They weren't happy, but I saved it. I knew that was going to happen. They popped off when I took the tension off of this. No big deal, man. Just springs on the back, doing what springs do. But that's why we reinforced this son of a gun, because I knew from experience it was not going to be happy. What you can do, you can get a block. I could have taken a small piece of wood, or I suppose took the cloth and stuck it underneath the back plate of the guitar and blocked off the tremolo, so it wouldn't have done it, but nothing got damaged. Those springs just popped off the back of it, which is fine. But learning from my lessons from days gone by, I knew this thing was gonna react really weird when I did that. So awesome. Those springs are off on the inside. So that was that noise that we heard. Kind of unnerving, but when you hear it a few times, with those springs hitting the plastic back plate of the guitar, it sounds a little scary, but not a big deal. I'm trying to save the top of the guitar and save it from getting any more dinged up than it is. I mean, it's got some battle scars from 30 years ago. Hard to believe it's been that long, man. Ridiculous how time flies. But at least I was having fun. Now see, these things don't want to come out of here. That's an indication to me that there's maybe some corrosion or some stuff going on. So what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to get a small screwdriver and I'm going to pry these little blocks up a little bit and get these strings out. And I'm going to check that these are tight. I mean, in all honesty, I don't think this is the same size wrench for this. In all honesty, I mean, these aren't loose. The G string is this saddle right here, and it's not moving around. Everything looks okay. So yeah, that's what an Ernie Ball Music Man tremolo system looks like. Looks really plain without a tremolo on it, man. This thing makes it look so badass, and that just looks sort of like a weird Telecaster. All right, so I got the strings out of these little slots here on the saddles, and man, I can tell there's a lot of junk in here. I was going to take these little blocks out of there, but the way this tremolo is designed, these blocks really don't look like they're going to come out. It looks like this Music Man tremolo is designed to not allow the little black blocks to pop out, to fall out, which is actually a great design. I could be wrong, but it seems like they're not set up really to fall out, because if anyone's ever had a Floyd Rose block fall out in the middle of a gig or setting up a guitar, it sucks, man, because these little blocks, once they fall out, good luck finding it. Then you got to buy them in sets. That's, $15-20 you don't want to spend. but this was pretty cruddy. So maybe that string was just moving unusual in this. I don't know why it would go sharp, but I'm thinking maybe there was just some debris or something in here that was causing it to not sit flush within the saddle. I mean, it has to be something simple like that. I mean, the guitar is wonderful, obviously. It's just weird that the G did it on both of these guitars, man. I just can't figure out. At the same time, within a matter of weeks, both guitars started doing it, and I'm like, what? All right. So what I'm doing here is I sprayed some deoxit in here, and I'm just moving these parts back and forth a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the appropriate Allen wrench, and I'm going to check to make sure everything's tight. But I know this thing is tight. It's not moving. I know this. I have tightened it down or tried to before, and it's not this is not the issue. So hopefully cleaning this thing out will do the trick. Matter of trial and error, and when you finally find the time in your personal life to do this sort of thing, like I just hasn't been really a priority, but I'm like, I'm gonna get this done today. I'm gonna give it another shot anyway. All right, cool. So what I'm gonna do off camera, I'm just gonna check to make sure that's tight, and then I'm going to mount this back on the guitar and get strings on it. I'm also going to check the nut on the guitar and make sure everything on that looks fine. On the back of the guitar here, there's 2 springs and the claw. So these popped off the tremolo bar when I took the bar off of it, or when I loosened all the strings, took the strings off of it, so that came off. So I'm going to take these off for now and flip this over. These are solid, screwed down really nice and firmly. No issues there. Man, that's cruddy right there. That's pretty dirty. I need to polish this guitar up and get this thing waxed up a bit now that I've got all this hardware off of it. I may never have the hardware off this guitar again, so we'll see down the road. So we'll just use some regular old Dunlop 65. Then I'll wax it. I'll put some wax on it. This guitar's seen a lot of use. Back in the day, it was my #1. I played shows with it pretty regularly throughout the 90s and retired it from action early 2000s, 2002 maybe. I mean, it makes an appearance once in a while to little one-off small shows, but doesn't really make an appearance often. Nowadays, it's just, I don't want it to get stolen or just damage it. They're worth pretty good penny. I'm hoping that hope one day the price of these things drop so I don't have to worry about it. And, I mean, heck, I still play it. I don't worry about my guitars too much, but it just doesn't really bother me. I just wish it was... I don't know. I guess I've just got a stigmatism about it since it's a Van Halen guitar, Eddie. All right, good. Got some wax here. I'll probably have to go over this again a little bit because I'm going to handle this quite a bit. But getting the strings back on it, but I can't get like underneath here and back here with the strings on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and take care of this while I got the strings off of it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm sure everybody's got their own way of doing this. This is just my way. I get this crap on there and then I kind of smudge it in. Gets a film on the guitar. Then that film, once I buff it a little bit, picks up excess debris off the guitar. Looks pretty good. Kind of smoky looking right now. Alright, let me use the other side of this thing. This is the one I always use with my wax. I need some new cloths. Maybe I won't have to do this extensive of work on my natural one because of the fact that I just played it and it seemed like the G string was not doing that thing again. So maybe when I tinkered with it last time I kind of dialed it in. I don't quite recall if I did or not. I don't think I did, but I don't have a lot of faith in that, but we'll see. Alright, cool. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm going to clean this fretboard a little bit. You don't want to put lemon oil on a maple board because it'll stain it. But I'm going to polish these frets up just a little bit because they're kind of cruddy. It's never been done. And once I polish these frets up real fast, I'll do that off camera. But I've got these fret guards, and I've got some fret polish from Music Nomad, and a little bit of light grade steel wool. I'm going to just polish these real fast, and then we'll mount the tremolo back on and string it up and see what's going on. You know, the nut back here looks like this, and I've checked to see if that's, you know, loose or anything, and that's the wrong Allen wrench. I did check it off camera, and these are tight, so the locking nut is not moving. There's nothing weird going on with a nut. So okay, let me polish these frets up and we will get the strings on it in the tremolo system. That ought to be fun. Alright, I got everything cleaned up, got the frets polished, and I am about to get this claw loosened up significantly so that I can get these springs attached to the claw. I don't want there to be a lot of resistance getting this tremolo on because this is a really dicey thing, because if this thing falls off or slips or pops, then I'm gonna mess up the guitar, the top of the guitar. And these things are fragile. I'm not gonna lie. The Ernie Ball Music Man guitars are awesome, but they are fragile, man. You sneeze on them and they scratch or dent. And this one's actually got like a loose toggle. It's been that way for years. It doesn't want to stay in the down position. It always goes in the middle position. Up position, rhythm position's okay, but this toggle switch is an absolute bitch to solder, and they're like $30, which isn't bad, but you'll fry them in a heartbeat. So I just deal with this with a loose. It's just a finicky toggle. It works okay. It's just doesn't like to stay in the bridge position. Okay, so I hope I got this loose enough so when I put the tremolo on there, these two springs will get on here okay and easily, and no damages to the guitar. It really makes me nervous doing this sort of thing. So we'll do it on camera, and if I mess up, you can see me do it on film. So I really can't put my, I guess I could put some painter's tape on this thing and tape it a little bit just to stabilize it a little bit, but I can't really put a cloth under there or keep it stable any other way. So let me tape this thing down. All right, this should not cause any problems with the finish. Of course, I've waxed this thing down, so it's gonna probably not want to stick. Okay, so I've got that taped that way, and let's see. Let's reinforce it just a little bit like this. We'll put X. Looks like I'm going to stripe it. Maybe I should spray paint it. We'd have some red stripes. Spray paint it white and then have a red striped Music Man. Yeah, I ain't going to do that. Alright, so I think that's going to stay okay. And just to make sure that this bar behaves itself, I'm going to just tape this bar down like this. Not ideal. Alright, I don't trust this tape so much. Alright, so here we go. We've got that in place. Let me double check. It's still in the... I wanted to just do a test run to see if it's staying in these. You got to make sure it stays in the damn, these bolts. I forget what they're called. God, this is so lame. All right, I'm gonna wrap it around this way a little bit so I can pull the bar forward a little so it stays on these mounting bolts. I don't want it to slide this way, so when I put the springs on it, once I get the springs on it, I'll be able to delicately remove the tape and start putting strings on it and get some tension on the bar. I'm never doing this again. Gonna bring these claw screws out just a little bit. Oh, that tremolo bar moved. Alright, let me get my hand under here. So far, so good. This is the problem. This damn bar. So let's get you taped back down. This sucks. All right, stay. We got one spring in. The key to this is, in my opinion, loosening up these claw screws, because otherwise it's just really hard to get these springs back in there. All right, not quite. There's not really a lot of tension on this. I just can't get my fat fingers in there. Okay, so that is back in place. Now the blades of this tremolo bar are wanting to come off they're wanting to come off right here. What I'm talking about is this section right there. These are wanting to come off, but there's not a whole lot of tension on this bar right now because there's so much slack on those springs. It's really not super strong, so it's kind of wimpy right now. It's a little wimpy tremolo, so I've got it stabilized, so if it pops off it's not going to mess anything up. Alright, so we're safe. I feel like I'm doing open heart surgery on my guitar. Sorry if my head was in the way. Hopefully everybody can see what's going on. Recently I bought a few packs of these Musician's Gear strings from Musician's Friend. I believe these are made by Didario, however you say it. So I've never tried them before. Some friends of mine that work at Guitar Center and some buddies that have used them before said that they actually did pretty good, so I got them on sale for about $4 a piece. Well, not quite, actually about $3, $2.99 a set. So I thought, you know, you can't really go wrong. You can't really go wrong at that price point. So, all right, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to get this. I snipped the ball off of this string. I just castrated it. I'm going to get this low E string in here. Make sure it's even with the slots. Another thing I'm going to have to do is check when I do the G. I'm going to make sure that that G is perfectly in line with the saddle and that it's mounted in this tremolo system just right. Alright, so I, off camera, am going to string this baby up. What I'm going to do is each string, I'm going to put it through the locking nut. The locking nut is still unlocked. I'm going to get it tuned to pitch. But I'm going to go ahead and get all this done real quick. Okay, I got the strings on the guitar, so everything went good as planned. I did have a sort of an epiphany or a discovery while doing it. The G string and especially the G, but the B and the E also were really cruddy inside these saddles where the metal blocks are, and I had to once again take a small screwdriver and tap with a tiny hammer and get the blocks to move backwards so I could get the string in the saddle, and spray some more deoxit down in there, and I scraped in there with a very tiny Allen wrench, a metal wrench, to get out any kind of corrosion. So hopefully that deoxit will continue to sort of clean it in there and wash out any of that stuff. But maybe that's my issue. Maybe the saddle, the block inside the saddle was moving a little bit or doing just something weird. I don't know why the string would go sharp. That's unusual. I would think it would go flat, but who knows? It was going sharp. So I got it all cleaned out, and that was pretty eye-opening. Now the thing is, this is not tuned to pitch, so since the springs on the back of it are not tightened, if I were to tune this to pitch, this bar is going to go like way down, and it's going to be unplayable. So I've got to bring these screws back into like the same area that they were in. So they were eyeballing it. They were really close. Since there's only two, you got to screw this in really far, so they got to go into about here. So I've got some work to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and get this tightened up really good, because the way these Ernie balls are, the way Eddie did it, he wanted the whammy bar flush to the body, so there was no way to pull back on the bar. It's not a floating tremolo system, and it's like a fixed bridge in a way. Of course, I'm telling all the Van Halen guys on the channel something they already know, but many people don't realize that. So when there's not enough spring tension, this bar is going to move forward. It's going to raise the action up of the guitar. It's just going to perform miserable, and that's just not how this guitar is meant to set up. So when you've only got two springs on the guitar, you've got to really screw these claw screws in really far. I could put another spring on here, 2 or 3 more springs, and I wouldn't have to worry about it. But then the bar, you have to press on the bar really hard. I like there to be, I like it to be really easy to move and do my whammy bar trick. So I'm going to leave it with 2 springs and screw these down. So I'll take care of that, and we'll get it tuned up. All right, that looks to be about right. It may be a little bit closer than it was, but that's okay. I've got it screwed in. So basically what we've got to do now, I do have to polish the back of this since I haven't done that yet, but what I've got to do now, double check, make sure the blades and stuff are proper. This moves fine. There's nothing wrong with this. By the way, there's nothing wrong with these blades. They're not jagged, nothing weird. So that looks really good, and it's mounted properly. It's not going to move. Everything is in place there. So what I've got to do is get the locking nut put back on, these little nut things here. And then I'll tune the guitar to pitch. I'm not going to tighten these down completely yet, obviously, because we got to get the guitar into pitch and make sure that it's, I tune it to standard. And once it's in standard, make sure that that the tremolo isn't floating at all, that it's still flush to the body. And once it's in standard and that's good, I'll lock it down, and fingers crossed the G will not go sharp. So I'm going to get this thing tuned up real quick off camera, and we'll be right back. All right, a couple minutes later, we got it all locked down and set up as far as tuned, and snip these strings off real close and pretty. Like to get them right up against the tuning peg, and this is locked down. It's pretty close to being in tune. I'll double check one more time. I've got my little Epiphone tuner. I love this. This is like a Snark, but it's an Epiphone tuner that's similar to a like a Polytune or a Peterson. Not a Peterson, but a Polytune, I guess. It's very accurate. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm sure you can hear that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit all the strings. I'm going to do a little bit of whammy bar on it. And now these are new, but it's locked down, so they may stretch a little bit, but everything's locked. So I shouldn't really have a lot of pitch issues. So let's see. Now, when I say the G string would go out, it would go out sometimes a half to an entire whole step. So it's dead on the G. All right, guys, I am psyched. I can honestly say I believe we solved the riddle on this. Looks like it was a bunch of crap within this saddle piece right there where that block is, and some deoxit, a little bit of scraping in there, and I took the bar off the guitar. I don't think that did anything. I took the whole thing off, but I mean it's working now. So a lesson learned, man. You know, you need to maintain your guitars. I mean, these are case queens, for lack of a better way of putting it. And over time, man, this stuff just, it needs a little bit of TLC. You got, just like your cars, man, you got to play them. So I guess I'm going to commit to playing this guitar a little more regularly. I'm not selling it. I had somebody recently on the channel send me a message, "I'll pay you any price for that." And I didn't even respond to it, because, I mean, first of all, that could have just been a compliment. But it's not for sale. It's not about the money. This thing has been through thick and thin with me. I've got a really long story about this guitar that's on one of my other videos. not super long, but how I came into this guitar and why it's special. And one day it'll go to my sons when I decide to leave this planet, hopefully involuntarily. Just kidding. All right, got this shined up a little bit better. All right, wonderful, cool. Now we're going to bring out the natural one. We'll take a look at that. All right, here's the natural beauty. This thing is gorgeous. The red one's gorgeous too, but man, I love how this thing looks. Now, I baby this one more. I've had the red one since 1992, and got it used from a classified ad in a paper in Nashville, believe it or not, which is kind of weird. But this one I wound up getting on eBay from a guy in San Diego about about 13 years ago. And they were around $2,000 at the time. So, yeah. Anyways, I baby this one a lot more. The fretboard's a little nasty. I am not going to... the strings on this actually are really nice. I'm not going to change the strings on this today. I'm looking at it. I recently changed the strings on this now that I am thinking about it. These are super clean. I'm going to polish up clean the fretboard just a tad. It's pretty cruddy in this section, so I'm going to put some fretboard cleaner on it and wipe down the strings, put some string cleaner on it just to get the fretboard cleaner off the strings. But I am concerned about the G string issue. Now this one being a new, this is like a 95, I believe. I think this one is sort of later production before they ended the whole Ernie Ball Music Man era for Eddie. So I'm gonna get this thing, hopefully I got enough tuning distance in these Floyd Rose fine tuners to get it to standard. This thing was a little flat for some reason. I think I had it tuned to Van Halen tuning. I think I had it tuned partially down for Eddie tuning, since he tunes down a quarter step on a lot of stuff. At least the early years he did. So once I get this thing tuned up, I'm going to go ahead and we'll do a test live on camera and see if the G is going to do what the other one was doing. It was, and I want to say I sprayed some deoxit in this thing and tested it, and it was sort of better. And I just kind of didn't have time to really dial it in. And then it's been in the case. I've used it for a few videos. I just avoid using my tremolo bar in when I play stuff, because then I have to tune the G string, and man, a quarter to a half a step is a lot to lose tuning on a string, especially when you've got a locking nut and you only have so much distance on your Floyd Rose fine tuners. All right. So we're in tune. Let's check it. Let me do a strum test and a tremolo bar dip and see what happens. Yeah, the G is going sharp. There, right? About 2 cents sharp. Listen to that. I don't know if you can see the tuner from there, but the tuner's going nuts. Everything else is good, but that G is freaking sharp, man. So I think I have figured out what the issue was on the other guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the G, going to take the G string off. Sounds like a David Lee Roth lyric. All right, so I undid the locking nut. Let's take the string off of this baby. This ought to be, hopefully, a little easier and quicker. I don't have to go through the details like I did last time. That red guitar has been put through battle, and it has really, really stood the test of time, and it needed a thorough cleaning. So that was a well-deserved treatment for that guitar. So what I'm going to do is spray some of this down in there. Now that other guitar would not, when I loosen this up, it would not allow this block to move very easily. Now see, that block is, let me zoom in a little bit. I think I've zoomed in a little bit there. This little tiny block is not budging. So I had to like force it. I can feel like there's crud. I wonder why it's in the G. I wonder why both of them were. If that was just ironic that that happened, or if it's, maybe it's just the gauge of that string that causes it to do that. That's really weird. And that it goes sharp. Alright, so this part is moving a lot smoother now. Wish I had some maybe I do have some canned air back here. Let's see. I do. Clean that out. Even this little screw was hard to turn in and out of the guitar. So it's like the threads on it were kind of gummy. Yeah, so that's freed up now completely. Man, I've been playing for 40 years, and I've changed strings on Floyd Roses so many times, and I have never, ever had this problem. Now, this isn't a Floyd. It's a license by Floyd. I believe these were Godot systems, but I mean, it's same type principle. I've never had this G issue before. It's so strange. All right, so I'm going to try to salvage this string since it's new. I really don't want to waste a set of strings. Yeah, I'm being cheap. You gotta be these days. Alright, stupid me. I didn't go under this bar. I'm not paying attention. Typical me. Typical Marty. Pay attention, man. This is the worst string to work with, too, because it's so damn sharp. You can scratch the peg head on the guitar with it. You can obviously draw blood. Lord knows how many blood tests I've given myself with the G. I don't know if this thing's gonna hold. Alright, so it held. Let's see. Okay, let me put my tuner back on the guitar. This will be a fast test. Maybe it worked. Alright, let me fine tune everything real quick. I'll lock down the Let me lock this thing down in a second. All right, that's locked down. Everything on the nut is locked. All right, I'll fine tune it. I guess the reason it's taking me so long to figure this out is if this is the solution, I never would have thought it would have been something as simple as corrosion within the saddle where the little metal block is. I don't think this is going to work. I just don't think this one's going to be this easy. All right, so we've got it in tune. Let's test it. Well, I'll be damned. Awesome. That fixed it. Corroded saddle. Fantastic. I am so happy. Both guitars, for now, are back to normal. I'm going to clean up this fretboard real quick and jam on this thing a little while, but I will give you final thoughts here in just a sec. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in today. I really appreciate the support on the channel, each and every one of you that watch my videos, and hit like on the videos helps me out a lot. Thanks for subscribing, for all my wonderful subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Comment below what you think of these guitars. Have you got an Ernie Ball Music Man or an Axis, or maybe a clone of one, or what are your thoughts on these guitars? I love them personally. I think they're great. They were my favorite Van Halen years, since those were the years I was coming of age and really getting into writing and playing guitar the most, I would say. But anyway, I digress. I'm happy we were able to figure out the issue. This has bothered me for a couple of years, and I've tinkered around with them and puttered around and changed strings, and I just never really was able to dial it in. So after today, I'm confident it's fixed. I just have to play these guitars more often and do a little bit more routine maintenance. They deserve it, and it's a little embarrassing to let these guitars get to this state. I mean, it's not horrible, but they need to be played, and we need to play some more Van Halen on these and do some more lessons in the future. So anyway, appreciate you watching. Until next time, have a great day. Peace out.